Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday, I believe the 19th. Is that correct? For us, so that means it's the 20th Wednesday for you guys. We're still here in Southern California, and we're hanging out with our grandson. It's his birthday. When's his birthday? A few days? In 3 days. So took him to get his little gift and a couple little gifts that he chose. And um, but yeah, guys, I'll be honest with you, man. It's really hard to do these devotionals outside of our regular schedule life and out of our house. When we're in somebody else's house, it's not as easy to just set a tripod up in the middle of the living room and just do the devotional. It's not that. And then it just, I mean, you guys know when you guys visit somebody and you're in somebody else's home, things aren't as easy, So, but I did want to do a video today to say hello and not talk about anything specific, but a few things actually. And I was just talking to Sharon how, man, this every time we, like when I came to do the three interviews, with Tony A, Stretch, and American Cholo, and I learned something from that, and it was funny because when we left the prison in Texas, Brother Julio says, "You're quiet because you're processing." Remember, I got real quiet on the way when we left the prison.
Yes.
And I think that, yeah, I think I was hungry actually. I think we were hungry, and part of it was processing. But to be honest with you,
It's been the same just coming back from Texas.
yeah, I think I'm just processing everything now, and rethinking some things, to help things. If we don't grow from every experience, then something's wrong, And so I'm just like, what did this is? So this is what I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, what do you want me to learn from this experience? What do you want us to learn? From a lot of things, guys. Like for instance, we have cameras at the church, so Sunday service, instead of 80 or 90 people, it was like 20. So uh, that got me thinking about some things. Um, Seeing how these ministries operate in Texas, and there's a lot of doing instead of talking. Is that a good way to describe it, babe?
Yeah.
A lot of doing, guys, hands on, and just seeing how that operates, seeing how God moves in their lives, seeing how God just just operates in the lives of people. And
people were flourishing.
yeah, and so many people that God was just flourishing them, and just a lot of things. We went to a pastor. There's a pastor's wife that needs help publishing her book, and and I have, we're on the verge of finishing Sister Lydia's book, which is going to be amazing. Um, the whole plan was to get that completely turned in to Amazon by the end of this month, and I still want to keep to that plan, But you know, um, even hearing Julio's testimony, I was just like, wow. I'm like, you flew me over there. I should have flown you over here because that testimony, But anyways, talking to the pastor's wife and just seeing how God has really blessed that church, and just a beautiful presence. I felt that the presence of God the moment we stepped in. Did you, Ben?
Yes.
It was beautiful. You know, um, all the way to the inmates, to everything. And I got a praise report today. Um, Julio, this is crazy, right? Because I told you there's three houses on 18 acres. 18 acres is a lot, guys. And his boss is the one that owns these three houses, and that's his boss's second home. One of those homes. One is the boss's friend. One is Julio. Another one is a boss's, but he has another home a couple hours away. This is his second home, so he was gracious enough to let us stay there. Um, but when the last day we were there, the water was barely dripping out of the shower. And I thought I did something wrong, but basically their well dried up. It was the last day they had water. It was the day that we were there. And then their air condition broke a couple weeks ago. So they're still waiting because, in the middle of summer, it's hard to get somebody to service your air condition because everybody wants service in their air condition. So, and along with them, I think their whole AC went out completely. So they need a new unit, I believe. So, anyways, we left and their well ran dry. Another thing was Brother Julio had these double, what are they called? Oh my gosh, my mind left me. The things that was hurting him.
Oh, the hernias.
Hernias. He had double hernias. Multiple doctors had told him that he needed surgery, and he um, he was in pain. He was in very obvious pain. And we prayed one night, commanding healing, and he felt better. Matter of fact, he says, "Man, I don't feel no pain." But then maybe an hour or hours later, it crept back. He says, "Not as bad, but man, it kind of I feel it." So, and I noticed, he would get up from the couch. He was uncomfortable no matter which way he sat, and he had gotten multiple doctors saying that he needed to have surgery, needed a schedule surgery. So at the prison, at the end of speaking, I asked all the inmates. I said, "I wish I had time to pray for all of you. I can't do it, but this is going to confirm the word that was shared today. I want you to put your hand if you have pain, put your hand where the pain is, or if you have a loved one that's out in the free world and you know where their pain is, put your hand where their pain is on your body, to stand in the gap for them." And and I noticed by the corner of my eye, Julio was listening, and he put his hand where those double hernias were. And make a long story short, he texted today. He went to the doctor, and they didn't find any hernias at all.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, thank you, Jesus, man. And he gave that praise report, and they were telling him that they had to dig a new well. It was going to take a month. He was without water since we left, and they told him he would have to wait a whole month because, again, a lot of people's wells were going dry out there in Texas, right? And so they were on a waiting list of a month to either dig a new well or dig deeper in the well they're at now because they're out in the middle of nowhere. This is in the woods, guys. This is a straight forest. 3 houses on 18 acres. There is straight forest, right? And today he says, I went to the doctor and they said I have no hernias. And second, we have water now. And this is what's amazing, right? And you could chalk this up as coincidence all you want. But here's the thing, right? Is I told him, I said, brother, I said, I pray that you receive water faster because Jesus is the water giver. Something like that. I text him, babe. I don't know if I told you that. And man, praise God that God. Here's the thing, right? Is that
Man of God, they're family,
they are a
right?
beautiful family of the Lord. And while they were so busy worrying about God's business, which is going to feeding people, giving groceries, going to prisons, going to rehabs, going to this and man, and
busy about the Lord's
yeah, they were
business.
busy about God's business, and God was busy about their business. And that encouraged us so much, guys, because to know that, so many people tell us, you guys are too busy, you know, and, and, wow, to see this couple, they were busy too, very busy. And to see them just pushing and pushing, pushing. I love his wife's little saying. She goes, like the air conditioner went out, and she goes, "This too shall pass." And then the water went out, and she's like, "This too shall pass." And both of them are a powerhouse couple. And that greatly encouraged Sharon and I. I believe that we're both encouraged. Because um, it's a beautiful thing for myself or Sharon to pour into people. That's what we're called to do. But when we can come together with a couple that I, it's funny because they kept talking about the fact that me and Sharon were pouring into them, and I don't think they realized that it was them pouring into us. Would you agree with that, babe?
Absolutely.
And to be with a couple that was on fire, that would take not take no for an answer, that were aggressively worshiping, praising Jesus was so encouraging for us. Because don't get me wrong, I love to pour into others, but to see somebody serving God, and it was just beautiful, guys. And so I'm just like, this whole video is about processing. You have to learn to process the experiences that you have. I guess that's what I want to talk about, and I think I've been talking about it, is everything that happens when you get the privilege of being around somebody or people or an experience or something. Don't chalk it up as, oh man, we were busy yesterday. Process what it is that you went through. Regardless of what ministry it is, if you get an opportunity to go and minister to a family or to take some groceries or to pray for somebody or speak at a church or speak at a Bible study, lead a Bible study, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be flying to another state. It could be right there in your town. Ask God, Lord, what what do you want me to learn from this? What do I process from this situation so I can grow? And I think that's kind of where I'm at. Is I think that when we were with Julio and his wife Maria, that was that Monday to Friday. I thought, okay, now when they dropped us off at the hotel close to headquarters, the Grace headquarters, I thought, okay, now we can process. But it didn't stop, because even being with Angel and Anthony and seeing them, that they started services in their house and talking with them, and hearing, even hearing Sister Angel's heart, babe,
Yeah.
of some of the worries that she worries about of being a pastor's wife. And that was beautiful, man. I needed to hear that from her, because I needed to know her heart, because that way we know what direction to disciple them in, or to help them, or to encourage them. And I was so glad that she shared her heart. And so we thought it ended with Julio, but being in Houston was a whole other thing, with not only the House of Rest, Spring, Texas. I say Spring, Texas, really it's North Houston, guys, but just to be more specific, it's Spring, Texas. But hearing that and dealing with that, and meeting Eli, I didn't get his last name, but he is from Houston, and he loved it, and he showed up the next day with his wife, and then meeting Michael Soto in person, and then, you know, um, being with Stu and Debbie. They are the ones that are basically completely administrators for all of Grace International, and for them taking the time to, I don't think they realized even the little conversations they had, sharing their life, sharing how they started, how that was just nuggets into our lives. Remember, babe, when I said I didn't want to talk about my testimony anymore? That's why I changed the subject, babe. I don't know if you caught it. When I said, so how did you guys get into Grace? Remember, in the car?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, okay, I already know my story. I want to hear something different. I want something, because when people share their story, what they don't realize is that they drop nuggets. And I didn't want to talk about me anymore. I wanted to hear something different. And that was a beautiful moment. And then even sitting with Steve Riggle and his wife too, and just all of that whole Houston thing, it was like this whole chunk of gems from Monday to Friday with Julio. And I'm thinking it's over, and then from Friday to Monday all over again. It was just like overload. Our hearts were overloaded, in a beautiful way. And
Sometimes we got to give other people an opportunity for them to speak, and for sometimes we just got to sit back and just let others speak and let others pour into us, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes we just got to be observant and receive, you know?
Yeah, like the first day, and Julio, if you watch this, brother, I don't know if you watch your devotionals, but if you watch this, because I know Sister Laura, even her coming with us, I learned things.
Yeah.
There was just gems all over the place, dropped all over the place, and even her just experiencing these things with us let me see through fresh eyes ministry.
Yeah.
You know that? It let me see it through fresh eyes, through her. Because every day, if you ask her, I'll be like, "So, what did you think about today? What did you think about the prison? What did you think?" Because babe, I wanted to see it through fresh eyes.
Yeah.
That's why I was
You
asking.
gave her input every day.
Yeah. Um, I deviated from what I was gonna say though. Something. I'm sorry. It was something you were saying about sometimes just. Oh, Julio. You might be wondering why I was so quiet the first day, brother. I'm gonna tell you why. Is one, right when you picked us up off the airport, we asked about your testimony because I wanted to know who he was. I didn't know nothing about him, and within 5 minutes, he started sharing his life, and my heart sank, and it just left me speechless
Yeah.
about his daughter. That left me speechless, brother, and that's why I wasn't being standoffish. I was in awe of a man that went through that and and still continues to serve God. So I was in awe of you, brother. And that's why I was quiet, because that's when I realized I'm going to stay quiet and I'm going to receive. Because, again, he used to be a huge fan of my music, and he was really excited to bring us down there. Um, but I don't think he realized how excited I was, how excited both of us were, to be in their presence, and
There's much to learn from a man who can go through all that he went through and yet serve God so full heartedly and do all that he's doing in everything and the manner and hold himself together in such a beautiful way,
yeah,
and there's so much to learn from somebody like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And then, to see
Yeah.
how I got to see a man and a woman get busy for God,
Yeah.
and God sustained them financially. That was crazy too. I've heard it. I've heard so many people share it. I'll be honest with you, in serving God as long as I have, I don't know, since '04, I saw it. And maybe I saw it because I was ready to see it, and that blew me away, and it's crazy. Like he has this, okay, I'll share one thing with you. He has this book ministry where he goes to, when he goes to the prison, and here's the thing, right? The prison he goes to every single week is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And he does a book study with them. So, in order to do a book study, there's 200 men. He has to get 200 books. And that goes into the thousands, guys. And so he always tries to be ahead because he goes, it's hard for me to gather money to buy 2,000 books. So then they'll read the book together over time. But then as he's getting toward the end, he has to think of another book and how to acquire 200 more copies of that book for these men. And so apparently he was really concerned because I think
He had a balance from the prior book, and then he
yeah.
had to get new books.
So he was worried about the new book that he was doing. And here he is, worried about how he's going to get these next book, but he's over here taking us to eat, or even if we're thirsty, he'd be like, "Hey man, you want one of those loco mochas you want?" And putting gas to drive us everywhere, and then we go into the house and they have little snacks and stuff in the fridge and on the counter for us, and I'm just like, so in my head I'm like, bro, you spent money on us and you're worried about how you're going to get the next books. And this is my point. And each time I felt guilty because he'd be like, "Oh man, you got to try this ice cream." And I'm like, "No, no, I'm good. I don't want no ice cream." And he'd buy ice cream, and, "Oh man, you gotta try these mariscos." And you saw the video, guys. And I'm just like, "Brother, you don't have to do that. I promise you, we are happy with a minimum. I promise you." And anyways, in the midst of that, he gets a phone call. He gets a phone call, and it's a publisher. And they're basically saying, "Hey, we're the publisher of the next book you want." And somebody called us saying, "Hey, is there any ministries that are wanting your books? Because we want to give to something that's going to be good soil to sow into." And basically, this publisher was calling Julio to say all 200 books are paid for. And he pulled over to the side of the road and started praising God. He was so excited. And so that's this is just one of many things that I saw a man be busy for God, yet not have air condition, yet the water ain't running. He has to get these books. And then he's busy for God, and God would provide for him. And it just like, it left me blown away, guys. It left me blown away. And then um, we pulled up to this old house of theirs, and he yelled out the window at this guy in a beautiful truck, right? The truck was fully like a wrap around it, like with a business name or something, and had a big old scripture in the back, Isaiah something. And he was, "Hey, meet me at the house." And I'm like, "What's happening?" So this guy and his wife pull up, and apparently they know each other really well. And they're talking for what, 20 minutes or so. They're talking about this, talking about that. And I tell him, I said, "Man, it's a really beautiful truck." It was like this big old Texas truck, and it had a wrap around it, like a neon green on a black truck, and had the name of the business and a contractor's number and a big old Isaiah something something on the back tailgate. So I'm like, "Man, it's a nice truck." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, yeah." He goes, "But man, I'm about to get a brand new one." So I'm like, "Oh man, this guy must be," he was a roofer, huh? He was a roofer. And I'm like, "Wow, man, praise God. God has blessed him with his business, and he's probably, done this business for a few years or something, because this is a really nice truck." And so then we get back in the car, and I'm like, "Man, I like that. Seemed like a really nice brother." He goes, "Oh man, he was in a rehab a few months ago." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, he was in the rehab, and God, came into his life, straightened his life out, and now him and his wife are together, and he started this roofing business, and God has blessed him. He got that truck. He's about to get another truck." He goes, "And they are looking for people to bless," something like that, right? He goes, "He's constantly looking for people to
Well, and
bless, or
people,
ministries, ministries."
well, the thing is that people can't afford the. It's not that he looks, but if people can't afford it, he will go ahead and bless them.
Yeah.
And if he sees, if he sees there's churches, or if he sees different ministries, and they sees that their roofs are bad or anything, that he'll go and he'll bless them,
Yeah.
and he'll take care of their roofs and stuff.
Yeah, so it was crazy because you know, as Julio was talking, and he was just like, "Yeah, man," because he understands. He understands that he would have nothing if it wasn't for the Lord. He was in rehab. But everything he does unto the Lord, and he fixes roofs. But for some reason, if he sees an opportunity to bless someone, he does it, and then God comes back and blesses even more, and it was just, guys. I'm sorry. I'm ranting. I'm just processing this stuff. That's all. I'm just processing this stuff, and I guess ultimately what I want to say is learn. Always learn. Don't be the talker all the time. Don't be the one always talking. Sometimes slow down and listen and observe and see what's happening and process what you maybe you saw it, but you didn't really think about it, because a lot of things now that happened this week, now I'm barely processing it. It's barely coming to remembrance. And I think that's really important, guys. It's really, really important, from the positive to the negative too. I have to process the negative too, because I'm like, okay, if I'm gone, why was there only 20 people at service? You know, and again, these are things to think about. Like, why did this happen? Why does it happen? You know, how can we fix it? Is 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 it too centered on me? Because it shouldn't be. Because we're serving Jesus, right?
Yes.
We're serving the Lord. So if David isn't there, who cares? Jesus is still there. So these are things that I have to process and think about and say, okay, because it made me think this. What if all of a sudden a train hits me? What, house of rest, just that's it? You know, if you can take yourself out the equation and realize that the thing falls apart, you got to rethink things, because this is something that the Lord has started. You know, and these are just things to think about, guys. And I'm not saying I have the answers or the solutions. Like I said, I'm just processing stuff, you know. And even though all these triumphs that we got in Texas, um, that was that was a little heartbreaking, to be honest with you, to see that, you know. And it is, you know, it's just, again, it's gonna. These are things that we got to sit with leadership and talk about, and honestly, just have an honest conversation with the congregation, and talk about these things, and really discuss these things. And I'm saying this to you because you guys are part of this church. Many of you are part of House of Rest or Relevant Bible Talk, and you know, and you know what? I didn't see how many people were watching live.
Mm.
Maybe some of you guys checked out because it wasn't me preaching.
Oh, that day when they were watching, there was only 50 something people on live.
Remember this? Shame on you.
It was only 50,
And
55.
how many is it when I'm preaching?
Almost 100.
Almost 100.
It was half.
So
I did. I checked.
so this is my thing, right?
Why? Why is
Why? Why is that? You know, something John the Baptist said when he met Jesus. He tells Jesus, he says, "I shall decrease, so you may increase." You know, and it shouldn't be that way, man. It really shouldn't. You know, again, I gotta rethink these things and think about it, and really ponder it, because these are important questions. You know, and that way we can continue to grow. I'm not talking about as an audience. I mean us personally grow. Me, Sharon, you guys, for us to grow as believers. You know. But anyways, guys, that's the devotional for today. God bless you. You want to say good night?
Good night, guys. Love you guys.
So, all right, and maybe see you tomorrow. Like, I hate making promises, guys, when I'm not home, because it's sometimes it's really really hard. I know that we're gonna have dinner at Sharon's parents' house, and I can't just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna set up a tripod. Be quiet." You know, I can't do that. You know, and but uh, I just did want to make this video. I did have this opportunity right now to just talk to you guys, and we miss you guys. We love you guys. Those of you that are in Modesto area, we do miss everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much, and good night or good morning. Sorry. Bye.